Think about the average American public high school. It is a massive, mandatory gathering point where thousands of students from dozens of different backgrounds, cultures, and belief systems are required to share the exact same space 5 days a week. When you put that many contrasting worldviews in one building, friction naturally happens. A student wanting to pray out loud might sit next to someone who needs total silence. Someone wearing visible religious clothing might bump up against a strict school dress code. Without rules to manage this friction, human nature takes over. The majority group, whichever religion has the most students in the room, would set the culture, drown out minority beliefs, and make anyone who disagrees feel excluded. To prevent that, the United States relies on a legal referee, the First Amendment. It uses 2 specific rules regarding religion. On paper, these rules, the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, appear to completely contradict each other. The first rule is the Establishment Clause. Thomas Jefferson described it as a wall of separation between church and state, meant to limit government power. In schools, the government is banned from favoring one faith over another. A public school cannot force students to read the Bible or any other religious text. The courts have tested this boundary over time. In 1943, the Supreme Court ruled that schools cannot force students to participate in patriotic or religious rituals. If a student chooses to stand silently during the Pledge of Allegiance rather than say, "Under God," the school must let them. Today, this restriction applies directly to the staff. Because public school teachers and administrators are legally agents of the government, they are forbidden from leading prayers or promoting religion during class time. By stripping the school of all religious authority, the Establishment Clause ensures the institution remains a neutral ground for everyone. But then we hit the counterforce, the Free Exercise Clause. Where the first rule restricts the government, this second rule guarantees the individual student's right to openly practice their personal faith. This guarantees that you can choose any religion or no religion at all. During the school day, it protects your right to wear visible expressions of your faith, whether that is a hijab, a cross necklace, a turban, or a yarmulke. Here is where the contrast between the 2 clauses becomes clear. A teacher cannot organize a classroom prayer, but you, as a student, can pray silently before lunch. The school cannot require you to read a holy book, but you can bring your own Quran or Bible to read during free time. The school only gains the legal right to intervene in your personal religious expression if your actions cause a genuine safety hazard, or if you severely disrupt classroom learning, like praying out loud over a teacher's lesson. The Constitution weighs heavily toward individual liberty here. The school's power to enforce religious conformity is remarkably weak, while your power to express your personal identity remains highly protected. So, what happens when these 2 clauses collide? What if a student's right to practice their faith bumps into the school's legal duty to stay entirely neutral? In 2001, a Christian after-school group called the Good News Club asked to use public school classrooms for meetings. The school said no, arguing that allowing a religious club on campus would make it look like the government was endorsing Christianity. The Supreme Court stepped in to resolve the conflict. They ruled that if a school opens its doors to secular extracurriculars, like a chess team or a drama club, banning a religious club violates the students' free exercise rights. This ruling solidified a legal framework known as equal access, or simply fair play. The government must treat all beliefs with exact equality. No group gets a special advantage, and no group gets penalized. The courts continue to expand this standard. In 2022, high school football coach Joe Kennedy prayed by himself on the field after games. The school fired him to maintain neutrality. The court ruled in Kennedy's favor, declaring that fair play also protects the private religious speech of school employees. The First Amendment resolves its own internal paradox by forcing the government to act as a perfectly blind, neutral referee. In practice, this neutrality can feel difficult to navigate. It is common to see someone practicing a different faith openly in the hallway and feel like the school is playing favorites, prompting the reaction, "That's not fair." But under the Constitution, true fairness means tolerating the exact same personal freedoms for others that you demand for yourself. If a school permits sports team jerseys, it must also permit shirts with visible religious messages. When this mutual respect breaks down, the friction turns toxic. Disagreements can escalate into bullying or harassment over a classmate's faith or their chosen religious attire. Because the First Amendment demands equal respect, schools are legally bound to step in. Under civil rights laws, if a student is targeted with slurs or has their hijab pulled, administrators must immediately intervene to protect them. You can exercise these protections by knowing your rights. You are free to form clubs, wear your religious clothing, and respectfully share your beliefs. But you cannot force those beliefs onto your peers or disrupt the learning environment. As the Supreme Court has repeatedly warned, you do not shed your constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate. Whether you believe in one God, many gods, or no God at all, your freedom to think for yourself is protected by law.